So it's that time of year again, folks, where whatever you celebrate, you come together in peace and happiness with your friends and family, and your community comes together to celebrate at least the illusion of some peace on earth and goodwill to all men and women. It's also that time of year I pick out the movie that fits in with the theme. Usually it's something Christmassy, or close to a Christmas movie. It doesn't have to be set during Christmas, but it must have the atmosphere and themes around which the message of Christmas relates. And so for this year I decided to, well, not go with a Christmas movie. But I think you'll find that I kept the spirit and the message in the review itself. It's also a bit of a message as to what I feel makes a good director.
Just happened. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. My neighbors come in to see.
Timothy Hines is no stranger to this channel, and I often try to look at these more obscure aspects of the film industry as much as I can, and I have great admiration for filmmakers that break the mold, as it were, and over the last couple of decades Tim has proven that he can be just that kind of director. From my interactions with him and the conversations I've had with those who work with him, he is definitely a man who has the ability to leap out of his little box and take on board the experience of others, as well as make sure that he goes one step further for his work. For example, taking mere representation in his film to actually informed representation on how or who someone is. He has a vision when he works on his films that is balanced with a sensitivity to the issues and the subject matter he deals with. He's not one to miss out on the art of his craft, but he fully understands that his art must always have an impact upon those who watch it, and if he can balance that art and the message to such an extent that it works hard not to offend, then from what I have gathered, Timothy Hines comes off to me as the quintessential good director. That is a director that the cast and crew is more than happy not only to work with, but also comfortable to be around. As well he should be. With Hines having his own experience with autism and the effects that only has on his life but on how the world sadly judges autism as a whole, it's pretty clear he's had to deal with issues of the judgmental eye and the controversial way in which the media tends to portray autism. But to say this perspective has given Timothy Hines the insight that is rare to find in people, the willingness to get something right rather than his interpretation of what is seen as right, is a quality that no doubt makes Timothy Hines a director worth not only working with as a director, but whose films come across as quirky to some minds, but hit home to the hearts to which they actually matter. And as a trans writer and actress myself, that's a quality I look for and hope to work with one day. But I digress. Timothy Hines the man is something I want to focus on at a later date. Let's for now take on the real focus of this review, the film that's not a Christmas film, but nonetheless comes out at the perfect time for what it is. Tomorrow's Today. Set in modern-day Astoria, the film focuses on Charlie, a former mobster who served his time and is determined to turn his life around and do his local community a better turn than he could as a cop. His conversion seems very genuine too, as if ever one of his friends or neighbours are in trouble, he goes out of his way to make their lives better, usually at the cost of his own expense. It would certainly seem that Charlie has indeed already had his visitations of ghosts of Christmas past, present and future. Sadly for Charlie though, all three are still hanging around to haunt him and play a role of their own in the film's eventual outcome. Caught up in one event to better a friend's life, he finds himself trying to be the adult in his best friend's dream world to either become a big-name Hollywood actor, as he does kind of look like Tom Hardy, I mean, look at him, to getting rich quick through his own gambling addiction. Added to the mix is a young autistic boy Charlie finds himself bonding to, with his friend's dealings with the mobs to cover his gambling addiction and Charlie's attempts to literally save the life of his literally clueless friend. Charlie and his friends find themselves caught up in a series of events that quite literally brings Charlie's past, present and future on a collision course to an outstanding revelation that could either tear Charlie down or affirm his genuine change for the better in the community he clearly cares for so much now. Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming dark comedy with a colourful array of flawed characters, from Charlie to the intimidating though surprisingly ultimately inept boss, who finds himself losing as much control of the situation as Charlie does. It's really hard to focus on who is the most powerful of the characters, as they are all so unique. It's easy to see the tangled web of loyalties, friendship, of unintentional enemies Charlie makes and finds himself caught up in. But if I were to be to push for two of the most powerful supporting characters, it would have to be Vincent Gallo, played by Colin Buckingham. It's hard not to feel threatened by this character's imposing menace. Out of all the supporting characters introduced, he's the one in control, supposedly the fixer of Big Angie's mobster empire. He's definitely the brains and someone you don't want to mess with. He literally steals every scene he takes, from his introduction where you can clearly tell the underlings are more afraid of him than their comically imposing boss with the yo-yo, to the confrontation between him and Charlie in the chess scene. Vinny is definitely one player you don't want to mess with. And two, a blast from the past, and the wet dream of many a teenage boy in the 80s. The return of Kelly LeBrock as Charlie's successful, rich wife in a brief appearance, showing the fall between them both and the clear connection they still have with each other as ex-husband and wife, which still has limitations when it comes to the checkbook. And yeah, this is a big deal to someone like me who grew up with LeBrock posters on their wall and pin-ups gracing my copies of Looking magazine. And that time she seduced Gene Wilder in Lady in Red and encouraged two nerds who created her as the perfect woman to come out of their shells and be the men they really were inside. To see her return to the screen, albeit in a small role, to me was a gift. And again, as in her own words, a testament as to how Timothy Hines is a director, even a retired to the country actor can be more happy to return to the screen for. Oh, and there's a moving cameo by Burt Ward. Very poignant. It's hard to fault the film's Christmas release time. Even though it's not a Christmas movie, it still has a message most of us tend to forget once this time of year is over. Like Ebenezer Scrooge, who changed not only for Christmas but all the days of his remaining life, Charlie is very much the same reformed man as Scrooge was. Oh, I'm sure he wasn't the cold miser Scrooge was in the novel, but you'd have to walk on the edge of a very dark crevice to have worked for the mob in the first place. Charlie's redemption is obvious throughout the film, juxtaposed with the background and commentary from each of the characters Charlie relates to, and a creative mix of drama and near-documentary framing as we witness Charlie's interaction with other locals who aren't as integral to the film's overall plot. It's witty, funny, gritty, and also sad, with well-defined characters and players who each play a part without getting too convoluted or overcrowded. It's an independent film that oozes charm and simplicity in an industry that just simply goes out of its way to be over-clever. And sometimes, just sometimes, a simple movie is enough. Which is why this not Christmas film gets this year's focus as my favourite Christmas film this year. Happy holidays, everyone. God knows, after the last 2 years, we certainly earned it. Oh, hi! You're still here. This is my girl cat. We call her Girl Cat. Yeah, as you can see, we were late this year, and I apologise for that. It's largely due to some flooding we had a couple of weeks back, which is kind of like pretty much affected most of what's going on in the house right now. Our thermostat is out, which kind of makes doing my hair kind of impossible, as you can see. And but to say it's been a bad year would be wrong. It's been a particularly alright year, considering the ups and downs. But I guess why I'm making the end of this video is largely because I just would like to say Happy Christmas to you all. And there's also a Patreon that would certainly go a long way to helping me make more of these, and probably do my hair a little better next time, so that I don't look like I'm kind of like just waking up and rushing this or whatever. It's been a couple of weeks, but I really hope that you guys have a Merry Christmas or Kwanzaa or whatever it is you celebrate this year. And even if you don't celebrate it at all, I hope you have a good holiday, because you guys have really, really earned it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy holidays. Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming dark comedy with a colourful array of flawed characters. Okay. 1. Vincent Gallo, played by Colin Buckingham. It's hard to feel threatened. But no, it really is very hard not to feel threatened by this guy. This guy scares the shit out of me. Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming comedy with a colourful array of flawed characters, from Charlie to the intimidating docent. It's that one line, isn't it? All so unique. And it's so easy to see the tangled web of loyalties and friendship of unintentional enemies Charlie makes himself and gets caught up in the movie. What the is that line? Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming dark comedy with a colourful array of flawed characters, from Charlie to the intimidating docent. Oh, don't give up your day job. What day job? Okay. Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming dark comedy with a colourful array. There I go again. A rail. It's a ray of flawed characters. It's really hard to fault the film's Christmas release time. Even though it's not a Christmas movie, it still has a message that most of us tend to forget once this time of year is over. Really? I guess getting your neighbours that important, huh? I got this, really. Tomorrow's Today is a heartwarming dark comedy. I'm sorry. Oh my god. I'm still on blooper mode. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm having a week. I tell you, I'm having a week.